Hello everyone! In this video I wanted to address a debate that has been going for many years and is still raging today. Is anime a childish thing that's only for kids and something that you should grow out of liking when you get older? Considering my many Comic-Con videos, anime references, and the ownership of much anime paraphernalia, you can guess what my take on the subject is. But I'm all for a fair debate, so let's take a look at the arguments against anime. Firstly, there's the most obvious point. Anime is animated, like cartoons that kids watch when they're 5 years old. It's also very visually inviting for children, and also a lot of the time the plot is very simple or based around something specifically aimed at kids. The Pokemon anime was based around games that were primarily for kids. Beyblade was marketed around the Beyblade toys that became a huge collectible for children. And a hell of a lot of anime is set within fantastical fictional worlds that are very reminiscent of a lot of kids' TV shows. Also, in a lot of anime shows, the humour and the mannerisms of the characters are often excessively immature and stupid, and purposely over the top for comedic effect, sometimes to the point of being annoying. There's also the point that when it comes to teenagers, a lot of animes appeal to that age group through a little thing called fan service. What's fan service, you ask? Well, it's providing the viewers with what they want to see, which more often than not includes this, and more than a fair share of this. Not exactly following an emotional or cleverly written storyline there. So there's a lot of factors that contribute towards anime being pigeonholed as a meaningless distraction for children who have no logic or awareness of plot, or for teenage boys who are looking for a seemingly innocent way to check out boobs. But there's gotta be more to it than that, and I can think of a few ways that anime breaks that stereotype. I will admit, all of the things that I just said do happen and are in some ways true, but there's another side of anime that often goes completely ignored when analysing only at face value. Let's try and turn this around, shall we? If we go back to my first point that animations are mainly made for kids, which is true for the most part, animation is just another technique in a long list of methods through which you can create a film. Some shows are made as live action with a camera pointing at real people, others are made with clay models that are manipulated by people and then shot in sequence to create stop motion, and others are made from hand-drawn or digitally created images to make animation. Really, it's not that different from any method of film, and there are plenty of films that are meant just for adults, so why should anime be any different? Lord of the Rings uses CGI to make impossible things come to life, and that's considered acceptable for adults. Speaking of making impossible things come to life, that also applies to the plot points of anime. While some anime shows are purposely silly and nonsensical, others deal with really emotionally heavy subject matter, including depression, peer pressure, loss, grief, and even death. And just because those are explored within the context of a fictional world shouldn't take any validity away from it. Almost any form of fiction, be it TV, films, books, games, whatever, are by nature not real in that they were all born from someone's imagination and they don't exist within the world we live in. There are so many franchises and mediums of fiction that are given credit for being emotionally mature and valid despite this, so why should anime be an exception? Just because it's fiction doesn't make it automatically meaningless or something that only plot-oblivious children can enjoy. Another element to this argument that's quite close to my heart is the unprecedented amount of hard work that goes into making anime. When you shoot a live-action film, you record people acting, you edit it to make it look good, and there's your film. With anime, every tiny element of it has to be created out of thin air from your own imagination. For example, an anime film that's roughly 90 minutes long, that's purely hand-drawn, will take on average about 2 years to create. Even in 1 second of footage, the artist has to draw a multitude of separate frames which are then put together to make a sequence that creates the movement of everything on the screen, from a change of facial expression to the tiniest strand of hair blowing on the breeze, and if just one of those frames is even slightly off, the movement doesn't work and the artist has to discard everything and start again. For 1 second of footage! The sheer dedication and perseverance people put into making these things is phenomenal, and they're creating this footage out of absolutely nothing other than what they can visualise in their own head. That is an art form that commands respect, don't you think? There's plenty of visual beauty and wonderful work to admire in these things, and children aren't going to comment on that, it's the adults that get the joy of appreciating these things. And finally, before I ramble on too long, there's the old social stigma that liking anime, comic books, superheroes, cosplay and the like is nerdy thing that is stupid and immature, and anyone over a certain age still liking it should be frowned upon. I'll give you this, for those not in the fandom, the sight of a 30-odd-year-old man who works in an office and is deemed by society to be an adult flouncing around a comics convention wearing a poorly fitting Spider-Man costume looks a bit ridiculous. What is he doing with his life? Adults should grow out of comic books like they grew out of nappies and carry out their role as a responsible member of society and contribute something of value to their country. Besides, costumes are either for children wanting to be fictional characters or adults who've been hired by companies to entertain children by masquerading as fictional characters. So one can only assume that by wearing a Spider-Man costume, he's hoping to entice children. Is he some kind of paedophile? Should he be arrested? No. Adults who cosplay, enjoy fictional worlds and go to conventions are basically just enjoying a form of entertainment that has been created by other adults for pure recreational fun as a hobby to get away from their day-to-day lives and enjoy a bit of escapism. Pretty much every single person in the world does that. Have you ever bought an album with music on it? Have you ever enjoyed a film? Have you ever read a book? That's the same thing! They're just expressing an interest in a form of entertainment they enjoy. You don't look at someone who loves music and goes to gigs like a weirdo. You don't call someone who collects stamps a freak. And you don't try and shun someone from society for watching Coronation Street, so why would you belittle an anime fan? It's just entertainment, no need to get dramatic about it. All adults enjoy some form of entertainment, and anime is no less intelligent, authentic, or normal than anything else, and that should be all there is to it. And that's where I'm gonna stop, but I love a good debate, and you guys must have some really good arguments for both sides of the issue, so please leave your thoughts in the comments because I would love to hear them. Even if it's anti-anime, I'm not gonna take offence, I'm an adult. What? Yeah, I have a Gara plushie, so what? It's just a token of someone I appreciate. You have a picture of your mum and you don't see me complaining, why don't you go fuck? And that's all for this time. See you later, folks.